All right, I'm back. So I just ended up splitting these up into two videos. So you just watched the video on negative exponents, and now we're gonna move on to division with powers. And the rule here is when dividing exponents with the same base, you subtract the exponents. Okay, so for example, let's say you have something like x to the 8th over x to the 3rd. Well, and to get this one, you want to take 8 minus 3, which is 5, and you get x to the 5th, and that would be your answer. So whenever you're dividing with exponents, you subtract. If you remember, when you were adding with when you were multiplying with exponents, you would add them. When you're dividing with them, you subtract them. So let's look at another example. So another example would be the following. Let's say we've got y squared over y to the 5th. Well, 2 minus 5 is negative 3, but here's the thing. You don't want to leave it as a negative exponent. Instead, you want to rewrite this as 1 over y to the 3rd. Because if you remember, with negative exponents, you flip it, you do the inverse, and then you change the exponent to a positive. So that would be your answer here. Notice the bigger the exponent is where you're going to end up with. So see how 5 is bigger and it's in the denominator? That's why your y to the 3rd ends up in the denominator. That's going to happen. Whichever one is bigger is where you're going to end up, if that makes sense. Okay, I want to look at one more example of division with exponents. So the other example we're going to look at is something like this. 6x to the 5th, y to the 9th, over 8x to the 7th, y to the 4th. And what you want to do here is you want to split these up into 3 different groups. So we've got 6 over 8. Well, 6 over 8 you can reduce to 3 over 4. Okay? And then we have x to the 5th over x to the 7th. 5 minus 7 is a negative 2, so we have basically x to the negative 2. And then last but not least, we've got, what color should I use? There we go. Y to the 9th over y to the 4th. 9 minus 4 is y to the 5th. And then you want to basically combine these all together. Well, we've got 3. X to the negative 2 should go to the denominator. So the 4 goes there. That becomes x squared in the denominator. And then you've got a y to the 5th that's left on top. So that would be your answer there. Okay. So that is how you deal with dividing with exponents. There's one last thing I want to show you in this video, and then you'll have a Canvas check that you're going to do on your own. The last thing that I want to show you is what we call the rule of 0 power. And how that works is anything with the exponent of 0 is always 1. So basically, if you have x to the 0th power, it's 1. If you have 332 to the 0th power, it's 1. If you have 5y squared, that whole thing to the 0th power, it's 1. Anything to the 0th power is going to be 1. Okay? Now, there's one thing I do want to show you that will confuse people sometimes, and you have to be careful with this, is if you have something like the following. So let's say you have a problem like this, where it says you've got 10x to the 0th power. Now in this problem, the only thing to the 0th power is the x. So really what you have is 10 times x to the 0th power, which we know is 1. Well, 10 times 1 is just 10. So you got to make sure you pay attention to what's to the 0th power. Okay, that's all for these notes for today. You're going to do a Canvas check over this. And the next time that I'm able to see you in class, we'll kind of review, make sure we have all of this down. But other than that, hopefully this went well, and I'll see you guys soon.